Okay. Hey everyone, it's Alicia J here from New VA Advice, where I offer business, marketing, and mindset coaching to help virtual assistants get out of overwhelm and create a business that they love. Today, we are talking about all the legal stuff that comes with owning and running a business. I have to say, this is a point that I got stuck on when I started because I had never been a business owner before. So there were pieces like that that really eluded me in the beginning, and I really wasn't sure where to get the best reliable information to know what I was supposed to do about those legal issues when it came to running a business. So if you feel like me, whether you've just started your VA business or you've been doing this for a while and you're realizing maybe there's some things that you don't have set up on the back end to cover yourself legally and you want to know more about it, then this is the session for you. I am very excited today to be joined by Elaine Whitfield. Elaine, hello, and thank you for doing this with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Elaine is probably one of the first people I followed online when I realized that the virtual assistant industry was like the thing for me. You know, when you have that moment and you realize this is what I want to do, and then you start researching, well, who do I follow? And Elaine is one of the people for me. So for me, this is so exciting to be able to do this with you and then share you with other people.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because I've had a couple of people call me a pioneer of VA business, which I don't mind. But then I had someone recently call me a dinosaur. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a VA dinosaur. So that's very flattering. Thank you.
Well, yes, I'd rather say, you're someone I looked up to than, not calling you a dinosaur. So for those of you who don't know Elaine, let me tell you a little bit about her. So Elaine began her entrepreneurial journey as a virtual assistant in 2000 and transitioned it to a successful multi-VA practice called Executive Assistance Business Solutions, Inc. in 2005. The business has remained a successful six-figure business to date. She co-authored the book, How to Build a Successful Virtual Assistant Business, in 2008, probably one of the first resources that I grabbed when I was learning. Elaine was co-founder and director of the Canadian Virtual Assistant Connection and later the Global Alliance of Virtual Assistants until its sale in 2016. In 2016, Elaine added a complementary stream of income to her VA business when she became a Legal Shield associate. She is passionate about protecting families and small business with their legal and ID protection plans. So we're talking with someone who has a wealth of knowledge, not just in the VA industry, but also now on this whole concept of covering yourself, protecting yourself legally in the business. So let's start talking about with business structure. That's usually one of the first questions people ask, right? They know they want to make a business, so what do I need to do? Can I just slap my name on it? Do I call myself something? Do I need an LLC? What do I do with it? So tell us what the options are with that.
Well, the options differ from country to country and from province to province and state to state. I'm not familiar with the laws everywhere, obviously, but I am familiar with the fact that Google is not always the most reliable resource. And a lot of us will kind of default to Google when we're trying to decide what to do, or we will post in the group and say, what kind of business structure do I need? The structure that you need can differ from when you start out, when you can just be operating under your own name, and then as you get bigger and you need you need insurance because you have bigger clients who require different elements or different structures, then you can change it. My recommendation is always ask an attorney, or in Canada, a lawyer. So ask for legal advice from a qualified person, and ask often. So before you start out, ask. When you're in a couple of years, ask. When you're in 5 or 10 years and things are changing, just keep asking. And I don't want to sound like a big sales pitch for Legal Shield, but one of the benefits of Legal Shield is you can ask that question every year, for 25 years, and it's all part of your membership. So there is a definite benefit to being able to get advice on legal issues when you otherwise wouldn't. You would default to Google, and Google's not always right. It's the most popular answer that comes up, not the right one.
So are you trying to tell us right now that everything we read on the internet is not true?
Can you imagine someone saying that? Yes. And yeah, from my own personal experience, it's also not necessarily correct on the medical side, because I was actually kind of considering myself a doctor, a physician qualified by Google, and no, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. It really, there are a lot of things that it depends on, and I know that's people struggle with when they go out there and they look for answers with Google and Facebook groups, and people say, well, it depends. Nobody wants that answer, but it really does, right? It depends on where you live very specifically and how you're setting up that business.
And it can go right down to the bylaws of your county or town, because there's bylaws of some small cities or towns have bylaws that restrict what kind of business you can run in your home. And Google's not going to have that for, XYZ town. So, and I have watched so many posts on Facebook around this question get incorrect answers. And, I just feel bad for the people who are depending on the resources of their peers when they might not know the answer for their specific situation.
Right. And I'm going to say it's probably a similar thing when it comes to what kind of insurance you should have for your business, right? Because that's another thing people ask, how should I cover myself insurance-wise? And it probably also depends on the type of work that you're doing, the type of client that you're dealing with as well.
Yeah, and I mean, for insurance, the type of insurance that you need also depends on what your business structure is. There are different places to get affordable insurance, and there are different clients that require. I had a client that required I incorporate and required that I carry errors and omissions insurance. And at that point, this was I think 2005, 2000, around there, I didn't know what errors and omission insurance was. I was just really crazily flying by the seat of my pants and hoping nothing ever happened that would cost me a fortune to repair, which I don't recommend. I recommend really looking into your situation and getting the coverage. It's, by the time you need it, it's too late to get it. So there are some affordable options for errors and omissions insurance for your business that, I'm happy to give some, each to answer offline on that one, because I have some different resources that I point people to, not my own resources.
Good. Well, that's certainly something, if people have questions on that, we're going to have this thread will be in the Facebook group, and I'd be happy to, post a new one there if people have questions. We will take questions once we get through some information that I know is important for everybody to cover with having Elaine here today, live today. But if anyone watching has questions as we're going, post them in the feed and I will pull them up, and we can certainly, cover that afterwards too.
Great.
So let's talk about another thing that people ask about all the time. It's client contracts. First of all, there's always questioned as to if someone should use them or not. The other one is basically using, again, Googling and finding a template online and using that. So what are your suggestions when it comes to contracts?
So I was really proud of myself when I first started out that I was just a handshake business person, and I was only going to do business with people that I felt in my gut were, good people, and I got really, really burned twice, and because you can't always tell, and for a couple of reasons, you want to protect yourself with a contract that is specific to your situation, your business structure, your location, and all of that. Because by the time you need it, it's too late to have it. You have to set it up ahead of time. It also, in my opinion, makes you look more professional, more like a real, I say real business loosely, but makes you look like, a together happening, growing concern for a business is that you have a contract, that's customized for you. It's not that it's not that you can't get a template online and use it, but I would never use a template online with having your lawyer or attorney review it and cover you specifically for, as I said before, as your region, your structure, the type of business, the type of, if you're providing web hosting, it's different than if you're providing bookkeeping. So have them really cover the issues that are specific to the services that you're providing.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points. I mean, for example, in my Facebook group, I offer people a template that they can use to kind of plug in for their contracts, but I also make it very clear, I am not an attorney. This is something you should have looked over. That's not what I do for a living. Please make sure that you're covered. So yes, you could very potentially find a template that works well for you, but you want to make sure that you get that checked out by someone to confirm that, yes, it has everything in there you need.
Yeah, it's so disappointing when you actually have first it's disappointing when you have an issue anyways where you require a lawyer, because, I think we all take it a bit personally. We just feel that, doing the right thing is a better idea than having to rely on a contract. But when you have an issue and your contract comes up and your lawyer's reviewing it and they say something like, oh, if you had just had this extra clause in, you would be covered in this situation. And that can mean the difference between, getting paid for that project that you did or not, or having someone be able to do a chargeback or not. It's just best to be covered. And it's so affordable that there's no reason now not to be covered.
Yeah. So we talked about contracts, business structure, things like having insurance. What are some other things that VAs might need to talk to a lawyer about?
Well, there's a lot of issues that come up day to day. But one of the ones we never even think of is when we have a virtual assistant business, it's us. The business is us, and we have, we have good relationships with our clients, and we have feelings of responsibility for parts of their business. And what happens if something happens to you? Who's going to take over? Who's going to help your clients? Who's going to, make that transition seamless if, God forbid something happens to you and you get injured and you can't work for a period at all. If someone's forced to go and find someone new to take over their business, then you could lose those clients and come back and really find that you've lost your business. If something were to happen, again, God forbid, that you actually, passed away, what's going to happen to your business and the income in your business, shouldn't that income be directed to your family? So how to make that happen? So getting a will is really important when you have your own business, and people, over 70% of North Americans don't have a will, which is astounding. And everybody who hears the figure is astounded. But people with children and a business, more than ever need to have a will. So that's one thing to consider. Your contracts and agreements, definitely something to consider. The ways that you, accept payment and are covered for that payment. Have something in place for debt collection. That's important. There's just so many issues that come up day to day that we Google and we kind of just talk to our friends and act upon that rather than having legal advice on every issue, day in, day out. And, when I started out with a Legal Shield plan, I was amazed at how often I used a lawyer and didn't even realize that I had needed it before I had it available to me.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said. We go to business friends in Google and Facebook to hash out things like, how does my logo look, and are these colors great? And, we talk to everyone under the sun about that. But what about those big things, like making sure you're covered properly in your business and protected, and you have things set up for short-term, long-term, taking care of you and your family when it comes to your business if something were to happen to you. I think sometimes we give that all the same kind of weight, right? And we'll just ask someone their opinion.
Yes.
If somebody else did it that way, that should be okay for me too.
Even can I use this image that I found, or can I use this image on my website? And, someone says, oh yeah, you can use it on your website as long as you're not doing this, this, and this, and you don't intend to do this, this, and you use the image. And someone comes back to you and says, you owe me $10,000. That's my image. I own the rights for that. And you didn't check it out. Someone said it was okay, so you used it. So, every little thing like that can have huge ramifications down the line if you don't find out what the law is around it.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you have things, switching gears a little bit here. When you have this online world and things are so public, you have things like identity theft. You have the situation with Equifax that everyone hears about, but not everyone knows what are they supposed to do about it. So what can you tell us about a situation like that?
Well, the Equifax data breach was epic. I mean, it was the largest data breach in history, and it affected 44% of North Americans, 44% of Americans, less in Canada. Definitely some of us were involved in Canada. But there is a link, and I will put the link in the Facebook group, where you can go and find out if you were affected. You put in your social insurance number, and it'll tell you if you were affected. But it's beyond huge, because you might not be. It might not be evident to you now, but it will come out in 12 to 18 months. And the fact is that your identity, even if you weren't affected by the Equifax breach, you were probably affected by the Target breach or the Sony breach, or any of the other online breaches in Canada. CRA, which is our revenue, Canada Revenue, was breached. So in Canada, if you don't have identity protection, I always want to say, like, you're crazy. Basically, you're crazy, because we're all out there. It's just a matter of time until it's going to become apparent, and we're going to be victimized. And we have a statistic that says it's 600 plus hours to restore an identity. I just read an independent study that says, it was in the UK, but it said 400 to 500 hours to repair your identity once it's been stolen and used. And we don't have that kind of time, not to mention that most of the bodies that we have to deal with won't deal with us personally if our identity's been stolen, because they don't know if we're us or the thief. So Equifax has a free solution for identity protection, which I completely don't recommend, because why would you go to the company that breached your data to have them now protected? It's their own product that they're giving away for free. So it's great. I will also put in a link to an interview from, I believe, one of the governor generals, a senator in the States, who talks about some real good facts about Equifax and some options that are available and recommendations that he has.
Awesome. Yes, links are welcome. And then I can also add them with the recording and everything so that people get that information. Like you said, it's good at least to check, because you may not see ramifications or evidence now. It may be in so many months that something happens, and you might not make that connection. So why not check now and make sure that that you're okay?
Right, definitely.
So we talked about a lot of things here with legal coverage. We talked about contracts and business insurance and structuring your business and what model you're going to choose. We talked about identity theft. So if you're just starting out, or even if you've been doing this for a while, running your business, this whole conversation may have just made your head spin.
Yeah.
If it did, that is not our intention. But what I find is really great is, Elaine, tell us what you're involved with in Legal Shield. It's like taking all of these questions and finding one place to find the real answer, a good answer, the answer that is specific to you and your business and where you live, and it's affordable. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Okay. So Legal Shield, The Legal Shield membership covers you, the member, and your spouse, and children up to the age of 21 or 23 if they're still in school. With the Legal Shield membership, you get unlimited advice on an unlimited number of topics. So you can call the law firm as many times as you want to, as often as you need to, talk to them for as long as you want to, and it's all covered under your membership. You can also get business advice. So unlimited business advice with your personal membership. You get documents reviewed for personal matters, unlimited number of documents reviewed up to 10 pages. They will make calls and write letters on your behalf. I even got them involved when my phone company was overcharging me by $10 a month. And I mean, it was only $10 a month, but it was annoying me. And they wouldn't help me, and they said they would credit me because they valued me as a customer. They said they would credit my account for 3 months, but it was happening for a year. So finally I just said, I'm just going to try this Legal Shield thing and see, like, it can't hurt, it's free. So they wrote a letter that went to the legal department of the phone company instead of the customer service department, and I got $120 back. So it's not a fortune, but it's my money, and it didn't cost me anything. So really, they will talk to you about anything that is the most trivial thing to the most traumatic thing. You can talk to a lawyer. They have lawyers that specialize in every area of law. So, you might have someone in your family who's a lawyer who, is giving you advice for free, but that lawyer doesn't cover every province and state, and they don't cover every area. So they might not cover wills, estate law, but they do cover contract law. So you're getting a whole law firm. As well in your membership, you get your wills and powers of attorney done for both of you, and your living will and powers of attorney for financial. So very, very important stuff. Everyone should have them. Everyone can afford it. The membership is affordable. Now, the price differs from state to state and province to province. So the lowest for the legal is $19.95. So $19.95 covers an entire family, and the highest price is $26, and that's in Canada, and that's the family plan in Canada. We also have a home-based business rider or home-based business supplement in the States, which covers contract review for your business. They do debt collection letters. They make calls. They write letters on your behalf. The family plan that I forgot to mention also has a 24/7 emergency access. So if you've got a teenage driver, you want this plan. My two of my sons have used the emergency access. Both times it was one was a traffic ticket, and one was a fender bender where he was being told incorrect advice and he was scared and he couldn't reach us. I would have told him to call the law firm anyway, but so that covers the home-based business and the legal family plan. The identity protection, we have the strongest identity protection in North America because we offer full restoration. No other company offers that. They do offer monitoring, which we offer, and they offer advice and consultation, which we offer, but we will fully restore your identity. And as I said, that can take 200 to 600 plus hours. You don't want to jeopardize yourself, especially with this Equifax data breach.
Well, I mean, it's huge, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this, right? I mean, there were all those things that we just went over, and now you're telling us in one place, one solution, you can be covered for your family and personal affairs as well as your business, which I feel just makes things easier for people because it is complicated and confusing, right? I mean, who do I talk to about this, business issue? But then you talk about things like having a living will. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to think about it. It is important to do. And then if they want to start that conversation, who do they go to? So being able to have a solution where you can ask all your questions in one place and know that you're going to get reliable resources and answers back is huge.
Yeah. And people don't know what they don't know. So people will say, and I've heard people say this, well, I don't have a will, but my parents are going to, if something happened, my parents would take the kids. Well, guess what? In a lot of states and provinces, your parents don't get to take the kids because if there is no will, the government gets your children and they decide. And it might not be your parents. It might be, your dumbass brother-in-law. Just kidding. But it might be who the courts deem the most appropriate, which might not be what you think is the best idea. And it's the same thing for every kind of facet. We don't know what we don't know, and with Legal Shield, you get to know what you don't know.
Right. I mean, it just had a light bulb moment myself. It's like when we say in our VA business, we're really good at what we know how to do, but we're not good at everything. And that's why you tell your clients to outsource, right? I mean, you want them to send work to people who know what they're doing, and that's why they hire you. It's also why you don't offer every single service in your VA business. You may refer to someone else or partner with someone, or maybe you have a team of people who specialize in certain things. You don't know it all, nor do you need to, unless you're planning on adding a degree in your life and you want to become a lawyer. Other than that, no, that's not what you need to be focusing on in your business. You
Right.
focus on your clients, what you do best, and then just like we tell them, outsource to someone who is an expert at it. And that's what this is.
Absolutely. And this is more important than most things. I mean, there's things, our family's not going to go down in flames if we post something incorrectly to social media. But this is a really important, facet of your business and a facet of your personal life. And, a lot of people that you care about and love can be affected. And your business can be affected if you don't have the proper advice on these matters.
Absolutely. Don't forget, if you are joining us live, please post questions in the feed here, and I am happy to relay those to Elaine and get them answered for you. I do see a question about someone's asking about the best E&O insurance provider, but Elaine did mention she does have some resources she could share. Again, it depends on where you are, what you're providing, and what kinds of things you're taking care of for clients. So we can always share information about that, as well as that's the kind of thing that Legal Shield can help you with. You don't have to guess. They can tell you what you need based on your clients and your business structure. So if more questions come in, let us know. Post them here. I'll bring them up. Otherwise, I think Elaine would be happy to check into the Facebook group and kind of answer things after the fact, because some people will watch this, after we're finished here.
Sure.
And questions will come up.
I'll be there.
Here's another cool thing. So Elaine is going to be one of the speakers at VA Virtuosos this year, the VAVS event, the one I talk about all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm happy to be participating again. Elaine's going to be coming on and talking about this very topic, about Legal Shield, about things to consider when you're thinking about legal coverage for your business. So if you do want more information, I invite you to join us there and check out Elaine's session. Hers is on Thursday, October 19th. So the event runs from October 16th to 20th. I love that this is a virtual event. So you can join anywhere. You can sit in your living room, you can lay on your bed, you can go to a cafe, wherever you want to be. So to me, to have that networking capability and to learn from others, and then, kind of virtually meet people that you didn't get to meet before. But you don't have to fly somewhere. You don't even have to dress up. We're not going to see you, It's a great opportunity to do that. VA Virtuosos is also hugely affordable. I mean, you're talking $37 to talk to, 20 speakers about a variety of topics.
It's crazy. There's so much value there.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you agree that the networking in between, people say all the time, because they leave the chat open in between sessions. So you can get in there and talk with presenters, other VAs like yourself. I hear a lot of times that's where people they make connections, just like going to a live event, in between things.
Exactly. I have, I've been attending and speaking at the VAVS event for years. And, I have picked up great relationships, made great connections, connected with members that I brought onto my team. Getting to know people on that level is a great way to expand your business, because people are always coming up with things that they need to recommend someone else for. And so attending something like this is not only good for the immediate benefit, but for the relationships that you build as well.
Absolutely. There's some questions about it. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now for VA Virtuosos. So it's newvaadvice.com/VAVS, which is VAVS. That will give you the whole rundown. Like I said, it's October 16th to 20th, but if you go on that page, it'll show you every speaker, the time that they're speaking, and exactly what they're going to be covering. You know that Elaine will be there. I will be there talking about how to create a business that you love, not just a business that's making you feel like, why did you leave your job? You could have just, been an employee in somewhere else. So that's what I'll be talking about. We have someone speaking about how to make that transition, leave a full-time job to start your virtual assistant business. Someone's going to cover using LinkedIn to get leads for your business. Yolanda Crowley, who we had in the group live last week, is going to talk about mindset shifts. We all know that's a big thing that you want to work on any point in your business, the whole mindset of being a business owner. And then we have also spoken with Tammy Durden here live in the group, talking about transitioning from a solo VA business to a multi-VA practice. So a lot of good information there. And like I said, come and see Elaine. I mean, she's fun and easy to listen to and always has good information. So see her at VAVS, newvaadvice.com/VAVS. Like I mentioned, we will be sharing links to things that Elaine talked about here, as well as, like we talked about, Equifax and how to see if you were on that list, for example. But Elaine, where else can people find more information about you, about Legal Shield? Where do you want them to reach you?
Yeah, so my website is ElaineWhitfield.com. So I'll put that in the comments as well. So ElaineWhitfield.com/LS for Legal Shield. That will get you to my Legal Shield website. And if you're just at ElaineWhitfield.com, that'll get you to my Everything Else website.
Awesome. Yes. And there's a lot. So when you're at Elaine's site, look around, because you may find another, resource that you need. As we said, she's been doing this a long time, and she, like I've said before, I don't know everything, but I like to provide reliable resources. So I will share with you people that I trust, and Elaine is someone that I trust. So
thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your time and your knowledge with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Yay. All right. So like I said, if you have questions, keep posting them in the group, as well as if you're watching the replay, and we'll get you links, we'll get you answers on whatever you need. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.